podcast as well. So if you want to go deeper into the conversation, make sure you go to my bio and you will see that there is a link that you can go and start watching Superhumans at Work. The current episode is with Anthony Trucks. Today, we're going to go more into depth into the amazing content that he shares. I'm excited to have Anthony here as I kick off my day with a lot of energy. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing, bro?
Dude, this is always a good time to have a conversation with you. Starting my day, high energy. This is perfect.
Yeah, man.
How you been? How was the weekend? Oh, you just got out of the gym too?
Yeah, pretty much. I did
Nice.
75 hard. Today was the last day. I'm officially down 35 pounds, like to the ounce.
No kidding.
I got muscles again, bro. I was a chubby guy for a bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, we go in waves, right? But you got to tell, what is, I know about Hard 75. I heard about it. Give us a bit of a breakdown. What did you, and you, congratulations. This is a hardcore thing.
Yeah, it's not that easy. The thing is, I do have an edge, I think, because I have a degree in kinesiology, so fitness stuff, own the gym, right? So I get like how to work out, how to eat, drink the water. I got to finish a little bit more today for the last day. And yeah, but no, it's good. It's this thing it does. It does a really good job of getting you into like a good system, like a good cadence for life. So it doesn't give you much like do this at 4 o'clock, this at 2 o'clock. It just lets you get some things done. And to be honest, it helps you control the controllables. And that's a good thing for a lot of humans. For me, it's good because I would probably say right before I did it, I was kind of like floaty. I mean, the majority of my life, I've been pretty dialed, which allowed me to have great success. When COVID hit, man, I kind of got to a point where I was like, and this kind of put me back into a flow, and now I'm killing it, bro. I'm going to show the pictures later, bro. The gun got swole. The gun got swole, Jay. I'm not going to lie, man.
I like it. I love it. And, you know, it's actually a very interesting topic because I don't think you're the only person on the planet that had this kind of dip. And you speak about, like, you know, the whole cycle thing, right? So you had a little bit of slip. Now you activated course correction.
Yeah.
Is it just, because I do the same, is it just me and you that just can't stay steady all the time and be perfect? Or is this something that we'll naturally go through?
No, and the entire rest of the world, they're all perfect humans. You didn't know? It's like Krypton out here, bro. Everybody's great.
I'm trying to catch up.
Superman reference. It's a Superman reference. No, I think the thing though is you have to have those because they make the ride fun. Roller coaster would be boring. It was only fast straight ahead. You get tired of it. The up and down the change makes it enjoyable and it makes you like look forward to the peaks and like yay. But no, man, I think it's all part of it. But I think that what I found is, and I had a conversation with somebody yesterday. It was a pretty good conversation. They're like, hey. They said, you know, at the end of the day, happiness isn't this thing that that people who are trying to find. Like when you're trying to find happiness, you're trying to find that thing. I think a lot of people get to a point of like they're seeking it, hard to find. You find it in motion towards something. Humans, we're built around this almost need to create, to chase animals, to hunt, to compete, to develop, to build, to communicate. Culture, build, right? To the point of like we'll build things that will annihilate us. You know, like a Terminator 2. So I think that there's a joy in that, though. The happiest people I know are the ones that are building something. They're in motion. And I think that's what's good about the 75 hard. It's about, even if it's not 75 hard, building anything and being imperfect, enjoying the journey, you find happiness within the creation aspect of your humanness.
I love this. And if you're loving the knowledge that we're already talking about here, drop some hearts. And of course, if you don't already follow Anthony Trucks, you got to click on that bubble. Go and check out all his stuff. You will not have a day without motivation while you follow this page. Which brings me to yesterday was very interesting. I was about to interview somebody who couldn't make it to the interview. And so I suggested to people, hey, just come and send me a direct message. I'll recommend to you a podcast that you can listen to that'll, you know, deal with whatever problem you're dealing with. Yeah. And a very common problem I had with people that I actually had to recommend your podcast that we just released as well is they were saying, listen, I'm doing something, but I'm not feeling super passionate. It's not like I'm doing a bad job. My managers are praising me. I'm doing really well, but there's just like my heart's not into it anymore. And I know you speak a lot about this, and I know that person's not alone. A lot of people were asking about it. Can you tell us more about this kind of phenomenon? What happens when you're in this space?
I think what ends up happening is we have I was on that Clubhouse app, which it's an interesting thing. I like it, don't love it, but I like it. And like someone came in and said, look, you know, I'm into building things, like I'm creating, but like I don't have this desire to grit it out and go. He's like, I found these things, like moments that have made me feel like I'm in flow, and I want to do those more than the grit and grind. And I tried to position him to see something that few people will see. Even when you're in flow, like me and you have a thing we flow at, it's peace, right? Feels good. Even that thing, there's somebody in the world that sees that as grinding. Just is. Someone sees it as a grind. And so your grind is relative to the direction you're going and the enjoyment of the thing taking you, the vehicle taking you there. So I try to explain, like, look, at the end of the day, you're not trying to not grind. You're trying to find a way for these things that feel like a grind to float underneath and be consumed by your peace and your ease. Because these typical things that you don't love, they're needle movers. Like, there's things that I don't love to do that I got to do because, like, I love doing this and talking, speaking, sharing. I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have a business doing this kind of thing. If I didn't have clients I coach, I couldn't run the business if I didn't understand, like today I'm having conversations about CRMs, SMS, API, Zapier, connecting to close.com and ActiveCam, all these things are like tech stuff. I like being on the stage and talking. I don't love that. However, I find it joy because I've connected cleanly to what that allows me to do, to talk, to coach, to speak, to love, right? So a lot of people fall out of passion because they're like, man, I'm not in love with this thing I do, and that's the problem. I don't think that there's a lack of love for this thing. They're focused on the destination. They're not loving the day. They're not loving this right now, because when I love this right now and I find a way to love this right now, then I'm always in passion because I'm looking forward to the day, and I'm not just waiting to get to that destination to feel great and amazing, right? I'm in it now. And so people that are floating there, I'll tell you, you got to find something that you love doing. We might have talked about this, but that action ends suffering kind of thing. Yeah. You're suffering with that passivity. Find an action that is something you love. Like, find the thing you love, I think, first. Like, feel a good groove and then say, what can I add a little bit to this I don't love, but can still kind of pull along, and then find a way to weave it in, and all of a sudden now it's one whole, and I keep it going, and then add the next piece and mix it in. And when you do that, you get to the point where, like, if I had to only do web stuff, I'd hate it. I'd be like, I don't love doing just technology. But it allows me to do everything together, and now I got a good groove.
It's almost like you have your bigger why that pulls all the little things that you're like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, the bigger why for sure is the destination I'm going. That's like the top of the mountain peak. But I'm like, I want to look up and say, okay, I see the path down to my feet. Cool. Look at the roses, the bees, the flowers. And then at some point walking, I'm like, oh, here's the peak. You know, that's, I should love this step to right when I get here, Jason, so that when I get to the peak of the mountain, I can go, okay, picture, let me go back to climbing a mountain. I love climbing it more than arriving at the peak.
Interesting. Very fascinating. And for someone who's kind of listening in and they're like, wow, this makes sense. Yeah, I'm not liking what I'm doing right now because I don't really understand the point of it. Are you just suggesting that at this point we kind of just try something new? Do we take a retreat? Do we try to figure things out? Do we like do a concentrated effort to try to get more of that clarity so it can make everything make sense, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it, man. I think the thing is, most human beings don't want to try things they don't know for sure will work. So most people don't. That's a problem, right? They're like, oh, I don't want to do it if it's going to be a waste of my time. But here's the thing. Typically, I engage outside perspectives, right? I'm never in my own head thinking I know everything. When I do that, I usually struggle because I only have a certain way of seeing things. Like if I sit here right now and I look at, I don't know, let's say that's something. Here we go. I see green. What do you see?
Red.
No, it's green.
Oh, no.
And then I flip and I go, oh, wait, no, okay, I see the red, right? So what I'm saying is there's a perspective that goes, oh, I got you, right? And I don't get that if I keep it to if I only see my perspective. I'm glad my card number wasn't showing. No, I wasn't showing. But that's the thing, right? So when I'm in that place and I got people that are like, hey, what do I do? I'm like, well, find somebody or let me, like, what part of what we do, let us unpack this bad boy. Let's give you some new perspectives and points. You go, oh, okay, cool. You know what? I do know this person. I did take a course on this. I have read this book. That could be, okay, let's try this. Right now I get inspired a little bit, but it doesn't happen because my head, I get stuck in the same loop and I forget all the other things around me. I'm here and I need to go here.
I love it. You talk about the book idea, and I wanted to dig a bit more on this. And I don't know if you ever come across this, but a lot of times it's like, as we're seeking, we're like, all right, I'm going to pick up another book. You're going to set a goal. You're going to read a ton of books. Yeah. And then you kind of get overwhelmed. There's so many different ideas from different books, but then you don't even take the time to slow down and apply any of the things in the books. Have you found yourself going into that path? Have you seen people doing that path and kind of having to course correct?
That everybody does, man. I usually do a lot of the stuff. I'm not the guy that sits around and doesn't apply. Like, I find little ways to apply small things. But I believe that societally, we are definitively in an epidemic of self-esteem. Like there's a sickness in the world of information. And here's the thing, information is necessary, But you cannot get to the point, like you can't teach experience. Like you can't read experience. You can't watch experience. You have to experience experience. And that holds the better lessons. Like if I write a book, I can only give you so much. I mean, think about editors. They chop stuff out. I can only give you so much in a book, but everything that you're not seeing, you will learn when you apply what you've just learned. So we're in a world where people consume it and go, great, it feels good. It's, you know, it's in my head. Or they just buy it and don't consume it and it sits on the shelf. And I feel good. I bought the book. I read it. Yeah, okay, good. But the ones who are the 1 to 3% in the world, they go, I'm not satisfied until this is in my life. I'm practicing this. And then once they practice it, it's like there's this thing that opens up and they're so alive, so fulfilled, so clear. They go and preach to the mountaintops, do this. And it's like people don't listen. It's this poor. I'm like, man, if you could only just do it, you'd get it. And they do it and you're finally like, see? Told you, right? Hey, taste this ice cream. It looks green. It's gross. It's pistachio. It's delicious. It looks disgusting. Just taste it. They taste it. Oh my gosh, right? It's not until you taste it in real life that now it spins up. And when people can get past that sickness and cure that, do the things, you'll find that you can become the person that writes the books, that creates the trainings. So like for me, that's why I teach, is because I not only learn, but I apply and learn. And now I have something of value to teach.
I love it. Now, I wanted to play something with our audience that's tuning in. And by the way, anybody who's here, use the Q&A box if you want to submit a question. We might be able to have a conversation about it. But I'd be curious to know, if you're in the workplace, you're kind of doing your thing, you're working towards your mission, maybe you have your own business. I'd be curious to know, out of these 3 words, which ones do you feel is something you're trying to achieve more, or that's stopping you from achieving what you want? Is it connections? Is it motivation? Or is it knowledge? Connections, motivation, or knowledge? And if you just type that in the chat, I'd be curious to see what is it that people find themselves having struggles with? What is it that seems to come up as a roadblock for you? And maybe we can go deeper into it, which what I want to kick off with, because we talked about the skills, you know, we have to apply more than just read more. The motivation, we talked about being more clear on that big thing that you want to achieve so that you can understand the purpose of the little things that you're achieving every day. Let's go into the connections part and understand, how do you find yourself being able to be connected with the right people that can guide you along, that can mentor you? Like, have you had moments that you kind of felt lost, and how were you able to connect with the right people?
Yeah, one thing I start this with is you cannot fill a cup that's already full, right? There's that kind of common statement of like, if your brain, like I think Bruce Lee says, if your cup's already full, I can't put nothing else in it, right? I can't put anything. It's the same thing for life. People have connections that we, as human beings, where we desire connection, we need that connection to communities and environments, even if they're not the best connections in community. And so the problem is people want to be in better environments, better people, but they never make space for them, right? So you can't spend time with both all the time. You can only have limited time to spend. And also, like, what happens is if I'm stuck here and I'm in this place with these people that aren't help me elevate to this level, I stay in this mentality, right? And I think people say are the average of the 5 people around you. And I believe the average of the expectations of the 5 people around you, right? It's not just if I'm in a bunch of millionaires and I want to be a 2 millionaire and they're good, not great. If I'm with a half a millionaire who wants to be a 3 millionaire, better fit, right? There's different conversations I can have. We're going. So that's the first piece of it. But here's also what's scary. When somebody is saying, like, I'm down here and this is my group of connections, I want to be at a connection level here, because they're here, they don't feel like they belong up here sometimes. So they're apprehensive to go and approach this level of people up here because they think they're going to get shunned and shut down and pressed away. And so, again, I don't want to leave this group and be rejected by this group and sit in that weird limbo purgatory in between. People fear this space more than they realize. So they never pursue this, never leave this, stay here all their entire lives. So when people are shooting for these next levels here, you have to get to a point of realizing, I think, 2 things here. One, people up here, they don't want to make you feel bad. People at a high level that are solid people, they want to bring you up because they realize all ships raise, right? Or all rising tide raises all ships. They want to bring great people up here. I love people who approach me like, hey, Ant, can I do this? Like, can we talk? Yes, come hang out, right? And then also on top of that, if you think about it, this is never the peak you're looking for. If you get stuck here, you're not just missing out on this level, you're missing out on all the levels past these people. Because I've never got to a level and said, that's the best for me in my life. I've always got to this is cool. I get here and I'm like, oh, at the moment I realize, I'm like, oh man, I set my sights low. At one point I wanted to be I wanted to be a personal trainer, great personal trainer. Not to knock them, right? But in that realm was like just a personal trainer in Antioch, right? Best in Antioch. Then I'm like, oh wait, we got the whole like county. Oh wait, we got the whole state. Oh wait, we got the whole country. Oh wait, the internet, we got the whole world, right? if I was just seeking Antioch and struggling to get out in this, how am I going to get to the world, you know? So there's a level where if you don't enter this, you're not just missing out on this piece here, missing the entire bigger, badder world that you haven't even realized yet. And here's the cool part, because so many people never approach here, it's way less crowded up here. It may seem like there's a bunch of people. There is not. There are a lot of people all in the same place saying, oh, I don't want to go there because what if I get looked at funny? And right, it's just a whole different perspective.
This has been Straight Fryer so far. A lot of fun. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about all these things that might be going through your mind as you're trying to be successful. And we're going through a lot of these things that you can focus on to get you unstuck, back into motivation, and really making some progress. And I like this idea of connection. I love how you can always reach out to the bigger ones, which I wanted to talk maybe you've had a chance, like, have you had yourself times that you've reached out for the bigger people, but maybe have not done it in the right way? I think that fear comes like we don't have the right approach. Or you've noticed someone approach you one time and be very needy. Like, I know I've seen people be needy and it was like, oh, I didn't feel like giving as much. But then there's other people that reach out to me and I'm like, take the world. What is that difference?
You know what, you engage people, we can feel. I'm a coach and I will definitively respond to people in my heart because I don't like having gray area. So there's the 3 areas you just talked about. The first area, 100% I reach out. I have reached out, you know, what's that with the big theater play Hamilton. Hamilton, right? There's a guy, one of the main characters. He's like a Latin guy. He raps. They all rap. Anyways, he's in a new movie coming out with Lin-Manuel or whatever, Miranda, and he's like a Spanish guy. And the dude, like, he sings one of the songs. I can't think of his name. Sings one of the songs. Dude, dope. I had no idea. I was listening to this album, like, this is the guy from Hamilton. I go to his page. I comment, hey, love this music, dude. Beautiful. Hey, I loved it. Hamilton. Had no idea. Great job. He writes back like 5 minutes later. He's like, hey, man, thank you, man. All love from Brooklyn. I was like, hey, well, I got you here. You want to get on my podcast? Like, you want to do it? Didn't respond, right? You saw it. Didn't respond. Now, I can go back and go, oh, darn, man, never going to ask again. Or be like, hey, cool. If I don't go fishing, I'm never going to eat. That's it, Jay. If you don't go fishing, bro, you're never going to eat. So for me, I'm going to go fishing. And some days I'm going to catch a fish and some days I'm not, right? And so that's kind of the thing is I enjoy fishing. It's not called catching. It's called fishing. You go fishing, right? So I'm going to go fishing. And if I catch something, all the better. But I'm going to enjoy the process of learning how to do it better so I can be a better angler later, right? The second part of you, I said, is people that come to me and like they are just off, right? I will legitimately tell people they hit me up too much, too many questions, get all, hey, why don't you respond to me? I let them know, like, look, just so you know, the answer is no. But I want to let you know why so that the next time you find somebody, you don't get a no like this. Here's why. You have to realize I have a lot on my plate. And not to say you don't, but you have to realize if you approach me, it has to fit with what I'm doing. And what you're asking for is something from me, but you're not offering and clarifying or seeing what I got going on, right? So if you want part of me, some of my time, it's the most valuable thing. You got to explain why it's valuable, and you got to do it in a way that's respectful of my time. So like when I approach people, I do it respectfully. I don't care who they are. I realize you have you don't have much time. I truly appreciate the 30 seconds to read this message right here. If it would be in interest of you, I'd love for you to spend seriously 20 seconds, go to my page, scroll. I would love to do my podcast. If it's a good fit, great. If not, I want to let you know you got a good fan over here. Leave it at that. It took them a couple seconds. They don't got to do anything, right? And you can even say, if it's cool, just respond with a thumbs up, and I'll respond with some other stuff to help us figure it out. Like, just make it simple, right? So let people know a simple way to do it. But if they rub you wrong, don't. Then you're saying people that I'm like, hey, yeah, you want some help with the world? That could be a problem, because what I do is we will overpromise in situations where we feel underneath, and we'll get pulled farther than we probably should. So anytime that I offer like my time, someone tells like, hey, you want to do something? Yeah, let's do this thing. They'll ask for anything. They'll pull the rope till you stop pulling the rope, right? Till you like yank and say, oh, that's the stopping point. So I'll do it and say, yeah, I would love to. Here's what I'm willing to do. Here's what I'm willing to go with. Here's what I'm willing. So people will say, hey, can you come on the podcast? And I'll be definitive, like, yeah, 100%. They'll be like, well, we have this time. And I realize, like, I may not fit that time. I can give them the rope, let them pull it all around. I can say, look, I would love to, but here's my window. Here's my time. And that's good, because when people that are of high level see how you hold your time, respect your time, there's a level of respect that comes in place. They're like, oh, this is a player. Like, this isn't just a schmuck. There's a certain, and it's just a level of respect we hold. I'm not trying to like power play or anything. I'm just trying to be communicative of how I hold my respect. Because I think Lisa Nichols says you got to show other people how to treat you by how you treat you. And if you do that right, now it's like a good level. So when people approach me, I don't let them just have the whole bucket. Yeah, that time works. I'll move this around. I'll change it all up. Like, I operate like this. It would fit. So, for example, as a guy, just this happened, a podcast in UK. The guy has 500,000 YouTube subscribers, found my podcast and wants to come on. And it's totally cool. I'd love to have him on the podcast, share his message. He's a good guy, but I have a window of time. There's an early and there's a late. My early is like, I'm not even awake. The late is family time. And they want me to pull a half hour one of the ways. I was like, well, I'm already up at 5 in the morning. I can't get up at 4:30 because it'll pull from family time of the evening. And I got to pick my kids up, so I can't do that. I'm not going to make my wife adjust her schedule. So if you can fit this time, beautiful. If not, it's not going to work. We're not at this moment, we're not recording. And that's okay. I'm not mad at the person. I'm just respectful of like, this is how I run my life. I can't let you run my life.
And that's taking a lot of ownership to your own time. As you said, is like the most important, valuable resource we have. And I love this. Anthony, thank you so much for coming on live, dropping some amazing bombs of knowledge throughout this whole conversation. I think everybody who tuned in, whether you knew this was going to happen at this time or you just ended up scrolling on Instagram and falling onto this conversation, I'm pretty sure you're happy that you turned into this and learned a ton of stuff in the process. I wanted to do a quick plug and say, if you don't already follow Anthony, make sure you follow him here. If you want to have a listen to the full podcast episode that we recorded on Superhumans at Work, which is the podcast that I do with Mind Valley, I had Anthony Trux's episode released yesterday, so it's fresh off the grill. You're going to want to click on my bio. There is a link. You can see a link to the Apple podcast as well as Spotify podcast, whatever platform you listen to. We go even deeper, and it's amazing, and you definitely want to tune in. And Anthony, I just want to give you some space for some closing words. This was a great conversation. Thank you so much.
I got nothing, man. I don't have anything
we just dropped it all in.
I mean,
I'm going to take a moment.
I'm glad it helps people, man. I appreciate you. But this is what I love to do. So I love being able to do what I do.
And I have to admit, like for me, it's like from the moment I met you, I remember the energy. I think this was in Mexico. Yeah. This was the first time we met at A-Fest. We got a chance to travel through a couple airports as well. But always been watching what you've done. And it's incredible, the growth you've done, your consistency, your showing up, trusting the hustle. All of it is amazing. So Anthony, thank you for sharing the journey, inspiring a lot of people. And I know you're just at the beginning, so I can't wait to stay in touch and have another one of these conversations when we're both at the next level.
Yeah, man. Whenever you're ready, man, count me in. I appreciate you too, bro.
Everybody tuning in, thank you for your time as well. Go check out that podcast. You're going to get more fire from what you've seen already today. And if you just tuned in, you probably want to see the replay of this because there's a lot of bombs I got dropped of good knowledge, good fun, and good time. Take care, everybody.